Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. I don't know why you winked there, but anyways. All right, man. Well, welcome to the podcast. Welcome, everyone. I'm still working on the intro. I'm trying to do like a more personalized instead of like I used to do like a today's episode is so and so. I'm trying to do more like, hey, welcome.
Yeah. What's up? Follow your boy. If you like this, hit the like button, subscribe. You know, holla at your boy. All the YouTube tropes.
Thank you for doing that because I always forget. All right, so I got my guest today. He just moved to Vegas. So how long you been in Vegas now?
About 4 months.
About 4 months. Okay, just moved to Vegas from Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
Today, you know what? I don't even know what to call the topic we're going to talk about. I know what we're talking about as far as relates to comedy, but I kind of forgot what name I was going to give it. But let's just get you out the way first. Let's do the intros for you. If you want to go ahead and drop all your info, name, hashtags, Instagrams, Facebook, promo, anything you want to do. Let's knock that through real quick.
What's up with it? I'm Mark Ass Johnson. You can follow me on Instagram at Mark Johnson LOD. And then that's pretty much, I'm not on Twitter, so fuck Twitter. And then Facebook, I can never find myself on Facebook. So just follow me on Instagram. Or you can just find me in the streets. I work at Sam's Club, so Spring Mountain. If you need help, let me know. Tire department, I work there, so.
All right, sweet. That was cool. Just throw your actual business out there.
Yeah.
Like, I work here. Spring Mountain.
Just come find me. If you need me to do your comedy show for anywhere, just come call Sam's Club Tire Department. I'll answer. You know,
Like,
they don't have to know.
Like, hey, is Mark in today? I'm trying to get a laugh in, you know.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's cool. That's nice and sweet and short. I like it. So today's topic, it's gonna be, it's like improvise. It's more like improvising, but not so much improvising. So we'll cover what I mean by that a little bit. But my first question for every guest is, so you do comedy?
Yes.
Good. Someone lied to me once. So at first I asked that question like a joke, like, so you do comedy on a comedy podcast? But now I got to ask because someone like, yeah, then they didn't.
Mm.
So, all right, you passed the first test.
That's good.
All right, so you do comedy. How long have you been doing comedy for?
Literally about 2 years, minus 1 year for the whole
COVID, the asterisk.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll say 2.5.
Yeah.
All right. We'll say
Still real new to it. Probably less than like 50 mics under my belt.
Okay. All right. I didn't know you were counting. All right. I kind of actually thought you were doing a little longer. You seem to carry yourself pretty well. I thought you were doing like at least 4 years.
Oh, no.
Pre-COVID.
No, like I said, my first time picking a mic up was in February of 2019. And I did maybe one mic every 2 months.
Okay.
Until December.
Okay. All right. Well, that was my next question here. So you've been doing comedy for that long. And I want to hear about the first time you did comedy, your first, how it felt, how it went, just everything that led up to that moment.
Okay. So first thing is I've written down some comedy if I wasn't sure. So I went to actually watch an open mic. And watching an open mic, I was like, you know what? I'm definitely funnier than half these niggas.
Okay.
Going to open mic, you just see people go up there and they just are awful. And I was like, yeah, right, well, I can do this.
All right, before we go further, though, because a lot of people have said that. You go to an open mic and you're like, I'm better than these guys. Before we continue with your story, though, since then, now when you go to open mics and you see someone new coming on the scene, right? And you've already done your set, do you still feel that way? Like that mentality, like, I'm funny than these guys. When you see someone new, do you think they're thinking that? Would you still say that?
Oh, I say that all the time. I honestly feel like I'm the funniest person around. Okay. I just still need to learn and get that stage presence. And there's a lot that I still have to grow and to make it to show that I'm funnier. But I honestly believe I'm the funniest person around.
Okay. I mean, you gotta definitely believe in yourself if you're gonna do this. Yeah. You gotta believe it. Even if you don't believe you're the funniest, you gotta believe that at least you're trying, that you're gonna get better, that you got something. You gotta believe in yourself at somewhere.
So I believe myself. I know that there's people who are funnier. That there's so much that goes into telling jokes on stage.
Yeah, it's more than just the words. It's more than just the words. Okay.
There's a lot of nuances that I still have to learn.
Right. Yeah, because I've interviewed comics and they've all said like, oh, I thought that was horrible. But then you go up there, and then you're like, crap, you know, like your first time. It wasn't for me like it was in my head. Like my idea my first time did not play out on stage at all. Even now, still some of the open mics, it doesn't play out like I planned it out in my head. Because, you know, we're going up there to practice how we're going to tell the jokes, what words we're going to tell the jokes, or, I mean, what order we're going to do the jokes, what presence am I going to need to act out a little bit? Am I need to do facial expressions? Do I need to drop? So we're figuring all that out.
So much that goes into it.
Yeah, compared to the first time, like I said, the first time, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm funny these guys. But then you go up, and you don't always get the laughs you were planning on, because it's not all put together well, unless it's just magic or people are just feeling it. So your first time, how did you? I mean, because we all think that, but how did you do then in relation to that?
My first time, it's actually recorded, and I put it on my YouTube channel. Don't know the name of my YouTube channel. I have 2 subscribers.
maybe three guys.
Maybe 3. Who knows? Later on, I could double that tonight.
Yeah.
But I did pretty well. The thing though that I didn't think about is I set up and I practiced my 5 minutes beforehand, and I made sure to get it down to like 4.5 minutes. I never accounted for laughter.
You know, when I wrote my first set, I kind of accounted for it, but not as much as, because I didn't know how long people were going to laugh at. You don't know how hard a joke's going to hit until you tell it.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you tell a joke and people are laughing at the setup. You're like, this isn't even the punchline.
It drives me fucking crazy. You laugh at the wrong part, you people. This is the setup. Wait, and then I'll tell you this punchline, then you laugh.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something we're going to cover in the topic as well. So before we get into that, because I want to get through your backstory first.
Yeah.
So let's finish that up. Okay, so your first time you go up there, how did it go? How did you feel? Crowd reaction, everything. Tell me.
Before I went on stage, like when I was next up, you know, they go, hey, you're next. I was sitting down next to my friend and my knees were shaking. I was absolutely terrified. So I went, there was a bar next door. I went and had 2 quick shots of whiskey, stood on the backstage, and then it just all went away. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling much better. As soon as I went on stage, I felt great. Like I have no nervousness at all. So my jokes went well. I got some good laughters. The only thing that was me is that I said I didn't account for laughter, so I just told my jokes all the way through, all 4.5 minutes straight, like a speech.
Yeah.
I never once stopped for laughter, so if you were laughing at my joke, you didn't hear the step to the next joke.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you were stepping on your jokes.
Yeah.
So some people are probably trying to laugh, but they're like, wait, well, I'm trying to listen, or I missed this joke now because I was laughing at that joke, or whatever. Yeah. That's happened to me too. You just speed through. I had one person like tell me like I didn't really laugh because I was trying to keep up with your jokes. You know, I thought you were funny, but I was just trying to keep up. So yeah, that's
that stuff takes practice and like getting used to and being on stage.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So when you got off stage though, you said you were only going like once every couple months or so.
Yeah, at first I was doing like maybe once every 2 months.
It was like just busy with life and stuff.
Well, my schedule at Sam's Club was I was working 3 to 11:30 every night.
So you were working right when the mics are happening.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then at the time I had the mindset is like every time I go on stage I need to have something different.
It's definitely good to have a good repertoire, but as I'm sure you've noticed, we do the same jokes night after night, week after week for a while.
Yeah.
Until we finally get, you know, we memorize it just the right way. You know, like this is the way that always seems to work. Majority of the times, or so, you know, a few times those jokes don't work for some reason. So you had a lot of material then starting out.
Yeah, I would just always write in and stuff because once I figured out like you don't have to, like your jokes are you, and you have stories that you tell people. So I was like, these are my go-to stories I tell someone if I meet someone new, and that was like the best advice I ever got for like writing comedy. Is like, what are your go-to stories?
Yeah.
So I just wrote those all down. And just changed up the topic a little bit to make it match a little, you know, whatever was popular.
No, that's pretty good, yeah. Because people say, like, you know, be relatable, you know, talk about yourself. People, I'm sure you're going to have some story someone's going to relate to at some point, you know, like talk about riding a bike, like everyone's riding a bike, you know. If you'll rarely meet someone who hasn't ridden a bike, you know, and that's the same with jokes. You're going to tell something that a lot of people had experience with. and just tell it your way. That's cool.
Yeah, so it was cool. So I was doing open mics and maybe once a month, every couple of months, and then at the December of in 2019, I met someone who does a producer who has shows, and she was like in an intimate group. So I told her like 2 minutes of my jokes. She loved it, so she put me on her crew with some of the other comedians from around Sacramento. And we started doing shows. So I started doing my first show was in February. So went from doing like the 5-minute sets to 10 minutes. And then by the time I got to the end of March, I had like a 20-minute set. But by, I did my the last show like March 23rd. And then like...
That was like the night the world stopped.
Yeah.
That was like that
like
same night.
2 days later, it was over.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that.
So yeah, I started doing shows in February and stopped abruptly at the end of March.
Okay. All right. Okay. So being fairly new again on those shows, and you have about 20 minutes, you say. Obviously, when we started out, we're trying to figure out how to do the jokes. Like we have, for the most part, we know the joke's funny. We just gotta make sure we tell it right, we sell it right. So of those 20 minutes, like how much would you say is ready? Like 100%, you got it locked down.
I'd say probably 10 minutes right now.
Yeah.
I've definitely shortened it up and like realized that you cut and you add to it and
you take out the fluff, the fillers, all the fat, the extra words you don't need. Yeah. Okay. No. So yeah, same thing with me. I've got jokes I haven't done in a while, and then I go back to them, and I'm not doing them the same way as I was before. Like, I'm taking 3 sentences out. I'm taking a part of a joke that I take it completely out because I'm like, it's not relevant to the story. I don't need it for the laugh. I'm just wasting time. You're trying to make it compact, trying to make it as clean. Because 5 minutes is not a lot of time on stage.
it's not.
And it goes when it's a good night, it goes like that. When it's not a good night, it's like
Yeah, if that 5 minutes takes 30 minutes, then it's a rough time on stage. You're just looking at people not laugh.
Yeah, exactly. But so we'll just get straight into the topic, 'cause since we're kind of just dancing around it, But it's like like adapting and improvising, because I made the comment to you on one of your jokes, your OnlyFans reference jokes.
Yeah.
And every time I heard you tell it, the audience doesn't really laugh at the joke. But then you're like, oh, fuck you guys. That was funny shit,
All right, just so you guys know, I'll tell the joke right now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Might as well. Okay. So I'm going to start a business where I exclusively sell devices that push air around a room. I'm going to call it OnlyFans. Bing. Yes. And it already has a great online presence. So that's the joke. And it never gets laughs.
No, and honestly, that is like a very cheesy. Like you can see that joke coming a mile away. A mile away. That joke would definitely hit if people were drunk at that point, and they're just like fucking around, like they're really feeling the vibe and everything. Like okay, he's, But that like I told you, like that joke is so anyone can see it coming. You start doing the prep, like okay, this is I see where this is going, but. You follow it up every time. It's like, oh, fuck you guys. That joke was funny,
Yeah, I worked hard on that joke. I'm proud of that joke. I like that joke, honestly.
Sometimes we like something, like I got jokes I like that I don't do.
Yeah, that don't do well, but so I take it personally when the crowd doesn't laugh.
Yeah, and then I told you, like, the way you react is almost like that's the joke. Like that joke is like a dad joke or whatever,
Yeah.
Or stepdad joke. I don't know, man. Like,
Stepdad joke.
But then you go out and you defend yourself, and then they get the laughs from that, from like you being like, no, fuck you, that joke was clever. Like, like you're poking fun at yourself, And I think you mentioned, like, now that you realize that I guess now you're focusing on that part.
Yeah. So that's something that I always wanted to make a part of my comedy repertoire, but for me, it's the scariest part, is the crowd work. Talking to the crowd, interacting with the crowd, because you can't practice that. It has to just come naturally in a second for it to be the funniest. Like you can do some crowd stuff where you ask questions that doesn't matter what they say. You have a joke based on whatever, it doesn't matter, And like, you play basketball. They're like, no, I play volleyball. It's cool. Well, I play basketball. And then like, you can't do that. But to really play off what they said.
Yeah. When it comes to crowd work, definitely, I don't really care too much for it either, especially like if they're gonna turn into a heckler. You know, you're just asking a simple question, and then all of a sudden they're like, now they think like, oh, we're in a conversation. Like, no, it was just want to know if you play basketball. That's
yeah. What I said, that's the part I said. You just never quite know.
Yeah, and to practice that, you just keep doing it until eventually, I feel like you're eventually just so well adverse to it. You just know how to get out of it. You just so like you know how to make like mastering the art of leaving a conversation. You know, instead of having one, you're leaving one.
Yeah, some comedians do it like Russell Peters will have his whole special. It's just him talking to the crowd.
Yeah, and they're great at that, and that's the improvising on the spot, or just being a great conversationalist too. That's what you got to do. You got to know how to control the conversation. But as far as the reference to your joke and the improvising though, like, because I mean now I think you should just keep selling it that way. Like you do the joke and then you just like, no, fuck you, yeah, that joke was great, and then you double down with some other jokes. Like, well, I mean, if you didn't like that one, you do some other kind of jokes.
Yeah,
and then you really build it up on yourself. And I feel like you'll be able to set around that. Like now you're talking about yourself and how I feel like you do a set like your style of comedy, what you like and what people don't like, and then somehow intertwine it to like, fuck you guys, you don't know comedy, but not in the rude way some comics do it.
Yeah.
In a way where like you're playing,
you have to be hurt.
Yeah.
You have to appear to be hurt, and the crowd likes that.
Yeah, because people like to see pain.
Yeah.
And this is like an emotional live pain. Like, you didn't like my joke? And then I think there's something to that, that joke that you focus on that, so you get a couple bits out of it. But the real thing about this is though, like, is the improvising, like, because I don't think you were doing that on purpose for the joke.
I really thought the joke was getting laughs.
Yeah.
In my head, because every time I do it, like I hate watching myself do comedy. I really do. I hate watching it. So like in my head, I always kind of take little snapshots of the crowd, like what jokes get laughs and when.
Right.
So not exactly when it got the laughs, but like what joke got the laugh, and that joke would always get laughs. So I didn't realize that it was not the joke itself; it was
the corniness of. I think it's the corniness of the joke.
Yeah.
Because what's another dumb corny joke people do? Hack joke. Like, I don't know, but yeah, there's some jokes that's like, I can't believe you said that. Whatever kind of jokes. But when you realize that, now you're gonna. I think. What did you say you were gonna do with it? Now that you know that, you see that.
Yeah, so I can just take it further and just like own it. Once you own it, and I said it has to be a realistic sadness.
Yeah.
That you have to be genuinely upset. That's the part that's hard to sell because now that I know it.
Which I don't know.
Now I have to sell it, which is good because once I perfect being able to sell it without me being genuinely upset, it doesn't get laughed. Then I can make it, and I can do it night after night after night. Yeah,
which every time I saw you do the joke, you did that, and I was like, oh, I think he's doing it on purpose. Like I think he's purposely like selling it that way. Like, but yeah, I mean, you're improvising that. Has there been any other kind of joke or anything like that where you do the joke, it either works or it doesn't work, but then you improvise something around that?
No, not really. I think it's just whatever when you tell a joke and you pause for laughter and no one laughs, you're like, you motherfuckers. That was the joke. Like it gets to you.
Yeah, I honestly like on the way because like I honestly thought you were delivering that joke on purpose that way. But the way you speak, I really think you can keep doing some jokes like that. But the real joke is hidden in your feelings.
Yeah.
You somehow make a joke in there, not just saying like, oh, that joke was funny. You guys, you didn't like it. No, but somehow actually throwing a real joke in there. Like, I bet you guys like, and then you do it like another joke. Oh, so you guys like those kind of jokes, but I just feel like there's something there
to build on.
Yeah, I feel like the way you sell it, I legitimately thought every time you legitimately that was like where you were throwing your punchline at, like that's where it was, not this joke. That joke was just something to throw them off, and then boom.
That's a good way to look at it. I was not at all. That's way,
but it's sold, and that's why I was going with the improvising. I've done jokes sometimes, and I forgot the tag or the punchline of that particular joke, and then I just say whatever. I don't even know what popped in my head. Some words just come out of my mouth sometimes,
and those words get the biggest laughs. Yeah. And part that sucks is like if you didn't record it, you have no idea what you said.
Exactly, and if no one calls you out on it and tells you about it, you don't know. Because I've had jokes where, like I said, I forget it, and then I just make something up, and then people are laughing, and then I'm like, they didn't laugh when I did the other way.
Yeah.
They laugh more now that I just made it on the spot, which, and it's not anything like, I mean, obviously it's on topic with the joke, but it's not, the joke is A and this new punchline is B. And it's like, where did this come from? You know,
It's
whatever.
just randomness. And like I said, those jokes be the best jokes. And that's why I always try and record my sets, even though I hate watching my sets. Mm-hmm. Because that little bit of gold that you'll get in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did an extra 2 minutes the other night because I was like, I didn't time myself right. And I forgot a couple of jokes. You know, we've been rusty for a while.
Yeah.
So I just made up a whole like 2 minute last bit, like right there on the spot. Just off of one idea, and I just started talking. You know, and then that's the thing with the comedy on stage sometimes, with the crowd work, things just come up. You know, like, so how many of your jokes have you had? Do you know of any that have come that way? Or do you write them all completely out and only do what you write out?
I definitely write my jokes out, and I try and do them the way that I write them out, but it just never works out that way. Mm-hmm. It always, something always random pops in my head, and I'll fuck up the order just a little bit, and then I'll just have to say something else, and then, you know, when you say it over and over again, like, you think of something on the spot. Mm-hmm. So you just throw it out there, and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but when it works, it's...
And then do you keep that when it works?
Yes, I try to.
Okay. Because you record yourself, and you try to watch yourself.
Yeah.
I record myself, video, audio. Sometimes I don't listen to it. I try to play it. I was like, I'll remember it. Dumb rule. Yeah. And it's nice when it hits like that. Like, it really gets laughter, and when you can remember it. But then it sucks when you do it again on purpose, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Have you had any of those kind of jokes experience with that?
Yeah, like it's weird like that. Like I had a joke one of my crazy girlfriend one, which it started out as was a real story. Me and my friend Taylor were actually at a Chinese buffet, and this old lady walks from behind the counter, taps me on the shoulder, and goes, "The ribs are over there," and then walks away. I was like, oh, okay. But crazy thing is, like, I don't need her to tell me where the fucking ribs are. Like, I know where ribs are. I'll find the ribs. I'm black, all right? I'll find ribs, I'll find chicken. But, like, I was saying that, so I wrote that. That was, like, one of my first jokes I wrote down. And I was saying it, and then I made a reference to, I think, Black and Yellow. It's like the song, because this is, you know, like the song Black and Yellow. And I got some good laughs. Like, oh, that's pretty good. So I threw it in there, and then it never got laughs ever again.
Just that one time, huh?
Just that one time I randomly said it.
Now, have you thought about going back to that joke and then figuring out what was it that didn't get laughs? Because one thing, you got to read the crowd. Maybe they're not into hip-hop music, you know?
Yeah.
That could have been a country bar. They're like, what, Black and Yellow? What? Like, I don't beat my wife or something? I don't know. I'm not suspecting nothing.
It was such a popular song for a while, then it just faded off. So it was like one of those things like, that's the part that sucks too, is like when you think of something that's real topical, the topical jokes, you got a limited time with.
Yeah, like especially doing COVID jokes right now, you maybe till 2022, and after that, I'm like, oh man, I heard all these jokes. Like, unless your COVID joke is somehow amazing, that doesn't matter. 5 years from now, you do it, everyone will be like, nah, that's fucking. You know? Other than that, it's like the whole, like, I remember like one of the earlier jokes, like, oh, it's COVID-19. Like, what happened to COVID-18? You know, gone.
Yeah, I know. I stayed away from COVID jokes because I felt like every comedian was trying to shoehorn them in.
Because it was low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I remember, like I said, it was low hanging fruit, and there was like some I came out. I got one COVID joke that I do. You know, I'll talk about getting tested, and I talk about social distancing for 18 years. You know, I thought that was like because of I'll do the joke because I'm just, all I'm saying is like, you know, like I don't want to date during COVID because I don't want to pass. That's not a test I want to pass, you know. And then if I think about it, like really the only test worse than that is an STD test. I mean, I can still go out, but I can't deliver my stimulus package. And then if I really think about it though, you know what test is worse than that? A pregnancy test, because that's 18 years of social distancing.
Yeah, well, you can. That's an easy one. You can get around that. You can just push it down the stairs.
Yeah, and I always do a follow up. This is a.
I'm joking. Please don't cancel me.
So, since we're talking about improvising, this is a. So one time I did that joke, no one laughed, And in my head, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that one hit too close to home for you guys, you know? And then they started laughing. So because of like just improvising on the spot and calling myself out, like kind of like you did,
Yeah.
people get laughed. So now when that joke doesn't work, I make that joke. I do that tag in there, and everybody's like, now they're laughing because oh, okay, yeah, I guess blah blah blah. But if it hits, I don't. I avoid. I don't go to that line. Do you have jokes like that?
I would say I would like to, but I really don't. Like all my jokes, like I have them set up, and it's really just the randomness. Like the OnlyFans ones, like I said, it was not. That was not planned. It was never planned that way.
I mean,
it was just every time I said it, no one laughed. So whenever I just have my bell outs. If no one laughs, I just go to random funny mode, and I just go, let me try and say something then.
Yeah, right.
To bring life back in.
So you're really on script kind of comedy. You stick to what you wrote. And
yeah, try and stick to what I wrote, to what I write.
Okay. Do you ever do any mics, anything where you just go up with nothing planned? I'm just gonna talk and see what comes out of my mouth.
If I force myself to, yes.
You force yourself. Do you do that often?
Not often enough.
Okay, I've done it a couple of times. I hate doing that. Even if I just have a premise, it's. I feel like it's forced. Obviously, you're forcing yourself to just come up with stuff versus quick thinking.
Yeah, I like to have something to say. Like it feels so random, like just so weird to not have nothing to say up on stage and just talk to someone and be like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?"
Yeah, I definitely don't go that far. No, I think of a topic. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna talk about drinking, and then I'm out there like.
Oh, okay. See, yeah, what I do is like when I don't have my scripts, I usually try and talk to the crowd and do crowd work.
Okay, so with your improvising, it's more crowd work then. You don't try to just come up with a joke on the spot or some quick reaction. You just talk to the crowd, see what they're feeling.
Yeah.
How's that work out for you? Cause
it's hit or miss. It's so hard. It's like to get.
Yeah, because I hate doing that. I think I got one joke where I got one joke and I haven't even gotten it down really good. Where I asked the crowd like, "So what kind of jokes you guys want to hear?" And I started asking people, and then I make it like, "Well, I'm gonna do what I want to do." That I was just giving you guys some false hope real quick, But I can't because you gotta talk to the crowd. It's not easy. Sometimes they like don't talk to you. You like ask them a question and it's just like one quick answer and that's it. Like,
yeah,
thank you.
But also too, the weird part is like because at the last show we were at when I was there, I was having a hard time because I would do my joke set up, and then this one girl in the crowd was drunk and kept talking back. So she would say something to me, and I would say something back to her, and it was funny, and it got a good amount of laughs, but then afterwards I was like, do I go back to my joke I was setting up before?
I remember that. I remember that was a backstop. I remember that, and you were like calling me like, man, I came up here to do a 5-minute set. I didn't even do a minute of it, and I remember that. And see, and this is why I feel like you can do a set all around you, not even the joke, but just on you. Because when you did that joke, and then the way you called yourself out, man, I came up here to do 5 minutes. It wasn't like you seen comics where they're like, oh, how much time I got left, or what was I talking about? You can see them like they're really fogging up. But the way you do it, it's like it's almost like that's how it was written. It's almost like you intentionally like planned to be like that. And be like, man, I came. It feels pretty natural. You got a natural presence on stage. And that's kind of hard to come across something just naturally, But your voice is very natural on stage. It really makes me believe like everything you did, you kind of planned it out on purpose. Even that set you said where you were just going back and forth with that lady. I thought you were really like, I don't know. I felt like, that's why I say I feel like you've been doing it longer than 2 years or 2.5. You really carry yourself very well on stage. So yeah, man, kudos.
Thank you. Yeah. I've definitely watched just a lot of comedy growing up. Been a big fan of it. I was doing comedy. I didn't realize I was a comedian at the time.
I don't think a lot of people do because I know like a lot of people are like, man, you're funny. You should be a comic. And I'm like,
yeah.
You just shove it off like but yeah, man, you definitely got a good presence. And I think improvising. I think you could be great at that. Improvising jokes. Just taking all those jokes and then randomness start drifting off. I forgot your other joke. Crap. Because I was gonna talk about that other joke.
They're all funny. Trust me.
They're so funny. I can't remember any of them. They're all blended in. No, but you got a quick wit. You know, you're quick about it. That's why I feel like improvising. When you're on stage, you never know when you're gonna bomb.
Yeah, you really don't.
No, you don't. And sometimes you can recover if you can quickly improvise. So do you have any experience when you bombed but recovered out of it because of your quick thinking, your quick improvising?
No, not like at the time. It's more or less just after the fact, me going back and thinking about it and just owning it. Never at the time, because I remember I've bombed a few times. I remember my first big bomb. I did a show in Tracy, California, which is like right next to Stockton. And so I grew up around all black people up until I was like 15, and then I was around a hell of white people. So a lot of my jokes are around me being the only black guy at a party, and that's how I would kind of introduce myself to people. I was like, I would go to a party out in Rockland and Roseville, which is like a really, really white part of Sacramento.
You're just kind of like, hey guys, I'm the new token black guy.
Yeah.
Marcus is out. I'm in.
Yeah.
I signed a new contract. I'm here for 5 years. So you were kind of just like on that way, like, all right, it's me.
Yeah, because I'll be at the parties and people would tell me a lot about their one black friend growing up,
like,
or how they voted for Obama. I'm like, I just took a shot at premium with vodka. Don't bring Obama in this, okay? he has nothing to do with this, all right? So I did good, but I went to do a show in Tracy, and it's just not black people. This is niggas, okay?
Straight from the hood.
Yeah, like there's 2 tables dedicated to rolling weed.
Just weed.
Just
not even
weed.
People, just the weed. Just
2 big ass tables, and they're just rolling.
Just roll your weed and leave. Roll your weed and leave. That's
yes, 2 tables. There's Hennessy bottles everywhere. Okay, there's fucking kids running around. It's ghetto shit. Everyone's smoking weed, getting drunk. I do my jokes. Every one of them lands flat. No.
Do you remember one of the jokes you did?
Yes, I remember one I did about like my wedding joke, which I realize now I was like, black people don't get married that much, so that's part of one of the reasons why I didn't land as much.
Did you make that reference after the joke?
No.
I feel like
I should have, but I said that's saying that like I never really do it before, and this is all like me thinking back, the night after, you just go over your set in your head, you think about all the mistakes you did.
Yeah, because I know like when things don't go well, like one of the tricks to, I guess I don't know, but you're bombing and you're like, oh, I guess I'll get rid of that joke, or I thought that joke was for me or whatever. People don't laugh like, oh, but you come up with these quick wits or what's the word? Quick responses. I'll go with quick responses. I have a joke that doesn't work, and it sucks because it's like having a conversation with someone, an argument, and then you go home, and then you're in the shower, and then all of a sudden you think of all the great comebacks you could have had.
Dude, that part.
Yeah, but I feel like you can just like if a joke bombs, I feel like you can just like say go back to fuck it, and just start improvising. I feel like you can just be great at that.
I'm sorry. This is the one of the times where I did improvise.
There you go.
So I wrote a joke. Probably I've been working on it for at least a year, and it goes about women being crazy. And it goes, hey, what's up with you women? And I talk to the crowd. I pick someone out in the crowd, and I planned this ahead of time where I talk to a girl in the crowd.
So you were planning and improvising.
Yeah,
okay.
Kind of like improvise. Like I talk to someone, and sometimes you bitches are all crazy, okay? I understand you guys. And it goes into a true story about my friend. We were at Waffle. We were getting mimosas the next day, and she ordered a banana waffle. Came with a hell of bananas on it. And she looks at her boyfriend when he gets there. He goes, hey, can you eat my bananas? And she goes, well, I can't because I can't eat them because I'm allergic. And I was like, well, if you're allergic to fucking bananas, bitch, why would you order a banana waffle? That makes sense to me. But I'm not a girl. And then after we finished the meal, we were all sitting on the grass. And we're laying on the grass. And one of the other girls goes, hey, can someone give me a blanket? I'm allergic to grass. I'm like, then why the fuck are you laying on the grass then? So I thought of this joke, right? And I pick out and this is probably like last year October, and there's only one table with people. The rest of the tables are all comics. So this is the only actual people that's there.
Only audience. Okay.
Only audience. So I'm talking to the girl closest to me, and I go, hey, for the sake of this joke, I want you to tell me that I'm not sexy, even though I know I am. So I look at me. I have mirrors. I can see me. And as I'm telling her that, on the other side of the table, the other lady goes, that's my daughter. She's 17. Quit talking to her like that. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm a pedophile. And I don't
think that's a good improvisation.
I just panicked. And I just abandoned the joke. Okay? And I started a new joke, start the setup. I panic again, abandon that joke, and I just keep, and I'm telling the audience the whole thing, like, I'm fucking up. I'm just going to be funny. So I'm playing with the bar stool. I'm playing with the microphone. I'm just being witty. And it's like, so the set got a bunch of laughs, which was nice. It was my first time getting laughs, but I didn't have any actual jokes during that set. It was just me being funny and panicking.
Yeah, I think you can do. I think you can do a great panicking set like that. You know, like the way you talk and you just act. I feel like you can do, if you purposely wrote a set where you do a little panicking, like, oh, fuck you guys. I feel like it would go great. I feel like you should do it. In fact, I'm gonna push you. Like, you should do that, bro. You should just throw in the jokes here and there, but that's it.
No, I think I could. I actually have a ton of jokes, and corniness is my thing. I've realized that now too. I'm a corny joker.
Yeah, and then
but I just sell it.
You sell it, and I think it's not really improvising. It's how you sell it. I think it's the way you improvise how you sell it. You know, because a lot of people can do that. Oh, fuck you guys, that joke is funny. You know, and that's it. The people laugh because they're like that, but nah, the way you do it is like intentional, like an art. Do it in like an art.
Yeah, comedy is an art, though.
That's true. It's true.
It's because it's so subjective.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true.
And different people look at it different ways. And
then in improvising. I feel like, I mean, if it's not going well, you got to learn how to pivot. All right, they're not liking me doing dark jokes. All right, we're gonna do jokes about dogs. Oh, they don't like me talking about dogs. Whatever. You learn how to pivot. And when all else fails, if you can improvise really well and just start making stuff up, you know, that's a pretty good gift, you know, because you don't want to be on stage for a 10-minute set, halfway through and you're out of jokes.
No, but we've all been there where you forget your next joke. You sell that joke so hard, and you get the punchline. You're like, I worked shit out of that punchline, and you finish punchline like, fuck, I forgot what I was supposed to do next.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you do in those situations?
I always try and have like the little like one-off jokes, like the OnlyFans, like quick ones that don't have too much of a build-up or setup that I can just kind of pump out while I go through my jokes in my head.
Okay. But now, have you ever had like a long stretch of time where you really, really had to improvise?
No, not too much. I usually I have a bunch of jokes in my head, and before I go on stage, all my jokes have names, and I just go through all the names.
You're really prepared when it comes to your stage presence. You like really. There's another comic where you talk about he does his set. He's not doing crowd work. He's not really improvising. Whatever he's got to do to keep on set. So that's kind of what you do. You try to stick to your set list.
I try to, but I don't like. They said I do like to talk to the crowd, interact with the crowd. So I will allow that, and I will talk back to them, and I'll engage them. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much, but I still want to have something to say.
Yeah.
Although I will allow myself to go off script, I feel better going off script knowing that I can always start this next joke. And then I still know what I want to end on. So when I get the light, I go, okay, I have the light. I got this last joke here. I know what I want to say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's good to be able to go in and out of that too. You know, like, all right, I'm talking to the crowd. Now I got to pivot back to the joke, and you can to be able to flow in and out of it, just smoothly.
Yeah. You
don't want to be telling a joke and then be like, and then you just go into talking, and then you go back into the joke that it's so random.
Yeah, but it's such a feeling. Like you can't. There's no right or wrong way. And when you're on stage, it's so fucking random and weird.
It's very true, you know. Based on the crowd, sometimes based on you. Like, are you having a good day, you know? And if you're not, can you like really hide it? You know, like, are you able to suppress it long enough to do your set? Because you've done the set, so you know exactly how it should be said, how much energy you're supposed to have in it. You know.
Yeah, I think I feel so much off the crowd too. That's why I also noticed I can't be too drunk.
Good tip. I like to have at least one
I've
drink.
seen some comics go home for mics and they're just gone. I'm usually, even when I'm too drunk, I can still get through my set. Luckily, I start practicing enough and I know my jokes, but it's never as good as it should be.
Mm-hmm. Do you improvise a lot when you do drink, when you're drunk or not? Because I know for me, like, I try to say the one drink to get on stage. I try to use the one drink for timing as well. Once I'm like 3, 4, whatever in, like, I'll still do the jokes I plan on it, but it's not the way I wrote them down.
Yeah, and it's just out of order.
A little out of order, a lot less words. I do them with a lot less words. Instead of doing 3 sentences, I do it like in 1.5. Like, you know. So do you get like that?
I fuck up the punchlines and setups, and I just kind of, because a lot of my jokes, at least I like to do like a story kind of jokes where it's like set up and you set up, and then you hit them with a joke, and then they'll set up and a joke, and then finally hit them with the punchline. I'd like to do more like the longer ones, so like all my jokes are like 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. They're really like 5-minute stories. And I cut down, and I've just been cutting down.
Right. Right. You cut that into little bits and stuff.
Yeah. So I definitely have my bits. Like some comedians do, just like their set up punchline.
Yeah. Just the quick jokes, the quick shots. Yeah. And you got others that do like 15 minutes just to get one punchline out. And those can be brutal.
Yeah. But the trick of those ones, like the hard part is like keeping people interested during the whole setup. Mm-hmm. So your setup can't be too long. Yeah. Without a joke in it.
Right. I know I've had some jokes where it's a little too long to get to the actual punchline, to get to the laughter. And I don't really even do these jokes anymore. But like every now and then when I notice like there's no, it just happens naturally. But like there's no laughter going on. Like I managed to somehow throw in something in there just to get like a little laugh that was never intended to be there. But I realized the joke is going on for so long, there's no laughter. And like you're saying, if they're losing interest, they're like literally like, all right, when's this joke coming? Just losing interest.
So I found like the best way to kind of do that is like, if you don't have jokes, you have to be talking about something that makes people want to clap.
Okay.
So like if you can get them to clap, and so like I have a joke where it talks about me like becoming a world famous comic and like how this show is my first step into doing that, and I talk about that for like a minute, and people are clapping because they're not laughing at the jokes, they're just happy for me to be able to be on stage. Mm-hmm. So they can feel that, so they're like, okay, yeah, no, you do that, you do you, so they're still engaged in my joke, even though they're not laughing. And then when I do hit them with the joke, it's even funnier because they were taking me serious.
That's a good way. Yeah, you got them hooked, you got them thinking, and then boom, you hit them with the joke, and like and then you snap them out of it.
Yeah, like I call like left turn jokes. I love doing left turn jokes, where you think I'm going one way, and then I just left turn, and you're just like, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of jokes should be too. You know, like I got one joke and it works for the most part, but I've had 2-3 instances now where I've heard someone and they're already beating me to the punchline and stuff.
That part's rough too, because
I wanna like I'm like deep down, like not even deep down. I'm just like praying like maybe they just seen me a couple times, you know, like. But then because I don't want it to be like, damn, this joke is just so generic, you know. But yeah, that sucks.
But those are fine too, because those are the ones where people don't laugh at the punchline; they laugh at the setup.
It's true.
So they see it coming and they already laughing. So when you do say it, it's fine because they laugh at the setup.
Yeah. And then I've had when that happens sometimes. I just abandoned the joke. Cause I'm like, I don't want to do a joke that you. I mean, because maybe they've come to the shows a lot. You know, maybe they have seen me before, or maybe that joke really is generic that they're just be able to pick up on it. So I'm like, I just abandon it, and then I just move on to the next joke, whatever it's gonna be. You know, and it kind of sucks.
It does. I've had it happen to me a few times too, because you're like, that's what's my exact punchline.
Yeah, so what do you do? What do you do for that thing? Because I mean, you can either continue with the joke, do a different joke, or in the topic we're talking about, improvise a whole new joke or set or a new concept around it. Because like you can have a joke that's getting generic, people are picking up on it, and whether it's prepared ahead of time or it's on stage, you spice it up, you improvise it. Now it's the same joke, but now you're telling it in a way that they don't see it coming.
Yeah, I was trying to make the before left turn. You gotta just keep it more subtle. Because I realized the one time that it happened, last time it happened to me, it was at the forum, and I was telling my joke about the smoking through an apple.
Okay, all right.
And the best way to smoke is an apple, because it adds flavor to it and takes away the THC smell. That way, whenever I'm smoking crack, people don't think I'm some sort of stoner. So as I was setting it up, and I say apple, some dude in the audience in the front row, the one who I don't know if he stayed for that whole night. He went on last, but he was shirtless.
Oh, I didn't remember that night.
He was hella high.
That dude was gone.
Yeah, he goes, "You smoking meth?" And I was like, "Fuck, that's."
Yeah, I remember that dude. Like he was.
So like, yeah.
I don't even know what he said to me, but like he threw me off. So like,
yeah, because he was in the front row. He was sleeping, but he would wake up and say something during every comedian set, and then pass back out again.
Yeah, And then I think he was going on a boat or something. He was going to some penthouse. He said like, "I'm going on a hopefully on a penthouse in LA." And like,
no, his set was terrible. It was awful. It was way too high.
I mean, at least he admitted that too. He's like, "I'm way too high. This is my first time. I'm way too high." All right, cool.
Yeah, it's your first time. I get you nervous, so you kind of. So he was way too high. His jokes didn't make any sense.
I mean, on the topic of improvising, I think he improvised his set that night. I think he literally was just like, "I'm just go on stage and whatever."
I'm gonna start talking, and people are just gonna love it. Obviously,
which I mean, improvising is great when it hits, but it can ruin you too. You can be talking, and you're having a great set. There's no need to improvise. You're doing great, and then you're like, "I'm feeling a little cocky. I'm gonna try a new joke." And then you improvise something, maybe not completely, but some thought you've had, like, I'm going to test it. It's not ready. I'm going to test it. And it just fucks you up.
It fucks up. Yeah. So at the show I just did at Extreme Comedy, I kind of fucked up my last joke because it involves, I call it my crazy girlfriend one, where I talk about like the best chicks in bed, or number 3 is crazy girls, number 2 is gymnasts, and the number 1 girl in bed is an amputee, obviously. So like I'm saying, hashtag no nub, no love. So I finished the joke by saying they ask dumb questions because amputees, the simplest things will leave them stumped. That's my closer. And I wrote that, I was like, that's gonna be a final joke. That's gonna be the one that's gonna get the most laughs. And then right before I said that, I was on stage and I improvised. I was like, I'm saying, I'm a freak, I don't care. I'll lick the stump, which got a great amount of laughs. But since I just used the word stump, that now undercut my final joke of leaving them stumped. So like, crap, now what I do? So like, I'm just gonna say it anyway. So I still said the final joke, and of course didn't get any laughs because at the left turn has already been taken when I said I licked the stump. So you kind of undercut myself there. But I did add it in, and now I just make sure to add it in afterwards. It was, as I put it in, I'm a freak, I don't care. I'll lick the stump while I hump, make her jump. And I do like a thing while I do it, and kind of sell it. Right.
So you felt cocky. You were like, I'm feeling it. Let me throw this little new twist improv in real quick. Ruined the punchline, but you revamped it.
Yeah.
So you managed to get a new tag that gets chuckles, and then on top of that, managed to keep it. Because it sucks if you come up with a joke or a tag or you improvise on set, whatever, that gets laughs, but you can't recreate it because it doesn't fit in the set. Because if you do this joke, this one can't go because it kind of like it won't fit. So, you did great then. Like, oh, okay, I'm making it fit. Gonna make it work. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, I thought about maybe adding to it and going like, I have her here, I got one leg in the air, this stump in the air, and I'm just like licking it, and I'm humping, like I'm just like, but I was like, probably too much. I feel like that might be too much for the joke, so I took it back out. Sometimes you gotta know when it's too much. People aren't ready for that kind of lifestyle.
A little bit, because I was like, I could see it. I can definitely see it. Like, I know, like, when you go too far, like, that's too much, huh?
Yeah.
That's the way to get out of that joke if it doesn't go well. Like, you guys ain't ready for that.
That's the line. My bad. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the line. I'll step back now.
Yeah, and that also seems to be like a quick. It's not even. I wouldn't even say it's an improv line, but that's a quick get out of jail. I don't know what to call it, but yeah, it's one of those like, all right, let me backpedal out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you can lick a stump on stage. I think you get away with it.
Yeah, it's also said how you sell the back pedal. Like you don't have it for, I don't have it for any particular jokes, but I have my certain ones that I would just go to if I can tell, like you get a reaction and you go, okay, I got this reaction. They're like, ooh, so then I say this. And they're like, I don't know, and I say that.
Yeah. And if you can learn how to backpedal out of it without being one of those generic lines, like, oh, you guys never ready for that. Oh, that's for me. I think that's really great improvising. If you can somehow just out of that joke, like, what was I gonna? Because I was thinking in my head just now when you're like licking the leg, licking the stump, got that, and then besides saying like, oh, you guys ain't ready for that, like what? You never seen a thumper before, That's that's someone who like, crap, I forgot what T stand for. Someone who taps the stumps, it's like a thumper.
Thumper.
That's where my logic was in there, like,
Thumper. The thumper is like tender, but for amputees.
Yeah, something along those lines. And then you explain like, what you guys don't discriminate against thumpers, tender for stumps, something along those lines, I think it's great if you can come up with something like that, like you improvise a new concept as a back pedal instead of a generic. You guys were ready for that.
Yeah, the best backpedals have to do something with the joke in which you kind of backpedal of it. Like if you it can't be too generic.
Right. And then eventually that can be part of the joke,
Yeah.
You purposely throw that joke in there just so you can throw this backpedal out. Because that's where the real joke is, which is, like I said, which is what I thought you were doing with the OnlyFans.
Yeah.
I thought that was a purpose backpedal. Like, oh, I did that joke. Yeah, it's not going to last, but bam, here's the real one, because that's definitely a huge left turn, like, I don't know. I think that's pretty clear what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
You can have that thumper though. I think you can work on something with that thumper.
Oh, I like a thumper.
Yeah, just
that sounds like some good slang though.
You can start off the joke like, what a thumper is, and then you just start with the licking. You just do the hands, and then like, oh, you guys don't know, it's an amputee,
Yeah.
And boom.
# double thumper. All right.
Ooh. All right.
2 girls, 1 stomp. That's my.
So, yeah. And that's the other thing, like with improvising, like as a comic, like we sometimes just improvise without knowing we're improvising, and not even on stage, but off stage. We're just having conversations, talking, and because that's all we do most of the time. Like we're just hanging out, and then we just start riffing like out of nowhere. That's all improvising. We're not making jokes, planning on making jokes. We're just like this thumper thing that just came into my head. Then you're talking about, a double thumper and stuff. That's the real improvising off the stage.
Yes, he's talking with people, especially like fans, and they'll tell you like this joke, and then you start fuck with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and next thing you know, you might have a new joke out of it, because the real improvising is off the stage. I've had a lot of jokes that came just from hanging out and talking. Like, that's a good idea, Wasn't planning on writing a joke, wasn't trying to be funny, wasn't trying to improv, nothing. Just, I just saw you licking a stump, and I'm like, oh, look, he's a thumper.
Just watch me licking the stump.
Yeah, and it's like that's.
You were just watching me, just randomly, we at the green door.
I'm a whomper, someone who watches stumpers.
I'm a whomper.
Yeah. But yeah, like we're at, improvising can hurt you. That's what we were talking about now. Improvising can't hurt you. You shouldn't improvise every time.
Yes, because sometimes it'll throw you off, and then you'll get off on a tangent, and then I said it can fuck up your jokes if you improvise, because you'll sometimes throw in your punchline early because it's still in your mind.
Yeah. I have a joke that I was practicing. I was practicing the joke, and I spaced out. I was in the shower, and I spaced out, and then I improvised a new joke, and I'm like, wait, I like this one better. But I like that one as well. And I wanted to do them both, and you can't. And you don't want to do that on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, man, is there anything else with improvising that you've had experience seeing or doing?
I know. I was watching Butch Bradley.
He's good.
His improvising on stage is really good. But I noticed like he'll lock in on series of talking to someone. He'll get something out of them that's funny, and then he'll just add that to his set, and he'll circle back to it every so often, and just bring them back in. And that's how he keeps the crowd, active.
Yeah, he's great with the crowd work. He's I've seen him. He's great with the crowd work, and then his callbacks to the crowd work.
Yeah,
he doesn't call back to the joke. He'll call back to the crowd work if he needs to, if he wants to.
And he'll do it to each. He'll have it for like 5 different people, and he'll call them back each one, and it'll feel so organic.
And yeah, like he's great at that. He is great at that. But what about bad experience? Have you seen anyone do a bad improvising?
It's just when you don't have your joke, and people don't have jokes, and they just talk to the crowd to fucking fill time just to stay on stage, and they have nothing to say. So like I said, they don't have a joke. So they just go up there and just talk to the crowd, and they're like, "Hey, what do you do?" And they're like, "I work for a school district." Like, "Oh, cool. My mom works for a school district." And it's like, "That's a nice conversation, but what the hell are you doing on stage right now?"
That would have been a great segue for me. Like, oh, school district, yeah, fuck them kids.
Yeah.
Because I got a joke that can lead to that.
You just gotta have something to say. Like when you're just talking on stage, you're just like, let's talk about this. Hey, what are you? And like,
so for you then, it's I would say then for you, it's when you are doing crowd work, or you're really looking for someone to say what you want to hear. You're one of those.
I don't have nothing. I want them to say something random. That way I can be random. I like to be random. So
because it's weird, because you want to be random, but you also have your set list. You're like, I want to talk about these jokes.
So my crowd work has nothing to do with my set list. If I'm doing actually when I talk to the crowd, I have no jokes planned. It's just me trying to whip off what they're saying. If I'm doing my set list, there's nothing to do with the crowd. I don't build any crowd.
Okay, all right. So you're just on the crowd work is where you're really just random, improvising. But then once you get to the set, it's locked in.
Yeah, my set list is already locked in. I already know what I want to say. I might have it to where I answer a general question out to the audience, like they believe in karma, something like that, but not actually trying to talk to anyone in particular.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I think that's a good way to look at it too. I know some people when they do crowd work, they're fishing. They're fishing for a segue into the joke or something. Or I read somewhere or I saw someone's like when they're doing crowd work, they're trying to build a rapport with that person. They're getting facts and stuff so that they can call back to them later on another joke. If they have a joke about accounting and they happen to meet someone talking accounting, they reference like, hey, remember that guy, accounting guy? You're just complete random. You're just like, hey, I'm just all right, what's up,
Yeah, and then usually my crowd, I don't actually talk about. Usually if I'm saying my joke set up and then someone says something to me, and then I just riff off that. Is how my crowd work usually goes. I almost never talk to the crowd.
Neither do I. I don't care to. I don't like to.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like you. I want to work on what I wrote down. I want to try that out. I want to make sure that works.
Yeah.
So as far as improvising goes, I don't really do it too much unless it's not going well or I forgot my jokes. Luckily for me, for now, I can improvise well enough to get out of it. Versus when I first started out and I forgot my jokes, I'm like, I don't know what to do now. So have you ever gone through that experience where you just spaced out, just like I don't know what to do next?
Yeah. It happens. It happens. And I said, usually for me, it's after I finish a punchline and I forget to think about the next joke. So then you just kind of you stall in, and then I'll usually try and just think of something because I know I have jokes. So the immediate next joke I think of, I will start to say.
So what do you do? What do you do at improv to kill that time, or we're like waiting for that next joke? What do you do?
I'll just start to bullshit the crowd. It's not like, it's so weird because I love being on stage, so I can just talk to them and I'll just start saying anything random just to keep them entertained, just enough to where in my head I'm going through everything like the joke, any joke. And once I think of the joke, I'll start to say it, but I'll just be bullshitting them. Like, yeah, it's crazy out here. It's the weather. I'm a Niners fan. They fucking suck. I'm a Kings fan. They fucking suck. But speaking of sports, and then bam.
Right. Okay. So when you do improvise, it's you blanked out and you're just giving yourself a minute to like catch up, whatever you're gonna do. Versus me, when I forget, I just make up some kind of new joke. I don't interact with the crowd.
That's only when I have nothing to say. I think my best improvisations are when I said a joke and the crowd reacted to it, and I just go based on the crowd reaction because I don't like speak to anyone in particular. I still speak out to the crowd. Like at the last show I did the crack joke, and I was like, end of it, I was like #Whitney, and then the crowd went ooh, and I was like, oh my bad, it's too soon.
She'd be like, my bad. Should I say Bobby?
Yeah, I said that. I was like, my bad. Okay, my bad. For next show, I'll do #Bobby. Right?
Yeah. Still too soon? Amy Winehouse?
Yeah. Bobby's good, right? He's still alive. I mean, everyone on him is dead.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, it's different how people do it.
Yeah.
How people deliver a joke, improvise on stage. It's subjective, like you said. So how you tell a joke versus someone else tells it, like the same joke, whatever, versus how the crowd reacts is completely different. Improvising is the same because improvising, no one knows what they're gonna do. You're improvising, and it's cool how different people improvised on stage. Like I said, I'll try to come up with whatever joke I'm coming up with. Like I'll pop in my head like I'm going with this. You're just interacting like, what's up?
I think it's one of my funniest, and I'm just up and I'm chill, like I'm just kind of loose. Mm-hmm. I'm not tripping, like I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be myself.
Right. And I think it's if you're doing it fairly on, I don't think it sounds like you've had many nights where you've had to really improvise and think, what am I going to do next? Is that accurate or? I've
had some nights. Yeah, but it's not so much of open mics. Open mics, it's only 5 minutes. And if you don't have 5 minutes of comedy, then that's such a short amount of time. Any decent can fill 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not getting jokes, 5 minutes is very short.
Right.
So when you start getting like the 15, 20 minute sets, that's when it gets in. So I haven't done one of those in a while. But like doing those, like I think my longest set ever did was like half an hour.
Damn.
And it was for halfway house. So it was like the heart of the pandemic last year. It was a halfway house. They couldn't go anywhere. So they just had a huge backyard. So I just went to their backyard and I just did it for them. So it was like, I had all the time in the world. I was the only person performing that night. So they literally it was just me. So I got to do all my jokes. And yeah, I think like around 25 minutes, I was like, I think I stopped. I still missed like 2 or 3 jokes. But half an hour is such a long fucking time.
Yeah. And how did that set go?
Set went really well.
Yeah. Did you stick mainly to the jokes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did reference the fact that I couldn't remember my joke set. I wrote it down. I wrote my jokes down on my hand, but I sweated them. I sweated so it faded, so I couldn't read it. And I showed the crowd like I wrote my jokes down, but my sweat faded all my jokes, so I don't know what's supposed to say next. So give me a second, and I kind of use that to my advantage.
All right.
So
see.
Yeah, because I think, as I said, when they feel your pain.
Yeah. I feel like being honest is the best improvising you could do. You just being straight up honest, like, I wrote them down, but I don't remember them. You can see. Versus stalling, like, let me think for a second. You know, what joke do I want to do next? I feel just being honest is the best form of improvising.
Yeah.
They just see you and they're like, because you can be funny when we're comics. A lot of us are funny off stage just because we're being honest, just like ourselves.
Yeah.
And you can't always, you try to translate that onto stage. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to improvise, be honest on stage. I wrote them down, you know, tell them the truth. No bullshitting.
To be honest, I said, because it's a tragedy too. It's like, comedy is just tragedy plus time.
Yeah.
So, being heartbroken, like I said, using that pain, people will relate to that.
Right. You know, here's another question when it comes to improvising. So recently I was at a show, and this guy did a joke I have. I don't think he stole the joke because I've never really seen the guy where I'm at. You know, I've seen him maybe once or twice at places, and when I heard him do the joke, it was almost verbatim, you know. But the joke itself is so generic that I was like not upset. I'm like, no, I probably got this from somebody else. You know, it felt so generic. But have you ever had a show where there was a joke or a premise very similar to yours, so you had to change up your set? You had to like think, what am I gonna do now?
Yes. Well, the jokes were different, but the punchline was the same. And I had one about kids where I said, like, I don't like kids, and I dated a white girl. And, like, the scariest thing in the world is a little white girl at the end of the hallway with that dress, that old-timey dress with that doll, no eyes, and just walking, saying, come play with me. So that's my joke like that. And the other dude, he had a joke where he was white and his kids were white, and they were doing basically like the same thing. Like, he had two daughters, and they were freaking him out because they were asking like to play with him. So it's like that same kind of punchline.
So yeah, you like, even if you tell it differently, they're gonna end up in the same spot.
Yeah.
So you had to change up your set for that.
Yeah. So I just scrapped that whole joke, and the whole bit, and just did another one.
Do you still use that at all, or no? Or did you completely get rid of it?
No, I still use it.
Okay.
That guy was from LA. He was just he was driving through.
Gotcha.
But as I said, the joke still works and it's still good. It was just with side by side next to his joke, you know.
And yeah, it's. I feel like it's with like music, especially now, how they remix songs from back in the 90s, 80s, whatever, taking samples to make new songs. And I guess we're at that age where we hear it like, no, this came out like 2000 whatever, you know, but it's a completely different song. The same thing with jokes, you know. Eventually, things are gonna get reused. Oh
yeah, no, it's if you look back all the way back, it's just
like the easy topic is like dating. It's always gonna be dating jokes. It's always gonna be about someone getting broken up with and they're hurt or they're bitter. You know, it's always gonna be there. There's always gonna be those jokes, like being broke. You know, that's always people are always gonna joke about not having money. So it's. But in the whole creepy white girl joke, I feel like that's more uncommon. Of a little girl just saying, "Come play with me."
Yeah, it is uncommon, but it's still the kids joke. A lot of comics joke about the kids.
Yeah, it's true. I joke about my kids too.
Yeah, I don't have kids, but if I did,
I don't either because I flushed the toilet. Saying bye bye kiddos.
No, I don't have kids, so she swallowed, so it's all right.
That's good to know. Good. Yeah. I don't have kids because good looking out, bro.
Yeah, I think it was
him. Okay, look, so we're talking about improvising. That gave me a great, because I do a joke about my ex-wife, and I'm making jokes, and I'm like, we didn't have no kids, you know, like, and I go like, good looking out, bro. But that's a great idea you told me that. I could be like, or was it you, bro? I don't.
Yeah.
One of you two.
Someone help me out.
Yeah,
okay.
And this is what I mean about improvising. Like, you don't know when it's gonna happen. You know, we're just talking, and then boom, I got a new tag. I'm taking that tag, by the way. I like that tag.
That's good. You can have it.
But you don't know when it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
You know, it might be on stage, it might be off stage. So, as prepared as you are, you have to be quick. You have to be able to react.
And it's not like being quick. It's like you just gotta have hella jokes in your repertoire. And it's just always being able to say a joke that you had. You didn't even know it would work for the situation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I have my jokes. I write them out. I practice them. It never usually goes exactly how I wrote them down.
Never once for me either.
Yeah, but and I think that's what big improvising is too. You know, because we can rehearse it as much as we want, and it might not ever come up on stage, and we say slightly different.
Yeah, because we get bored too saying it.
Yeah, and I think that's where the real improvisation is. Like every time you go on stage, you're kind of improvising every time. Because I've heard jokes from other comics, but it's always a little different. Something's a little different, just because we do it so often.
Yeah, and you think maybe if I just tweak this one word, this one inflection, add a little pause here. Okay, maybe do but maybe better pantomime here.
Yeah. Taking out a tag or adding a tag, because I have a couple jokes where I don't do a tag. For some reason, it just doesn't feel right. Other times I do the tag. So I mean, as far as like improvising go, I think it's a lot more common than we think we're doing it. I think we do it without even knowing we're improvising. Because I'm sure, do you have any jokes like that where you have a tag and you don't do it, and it works out better or worse, and then sometimes you're like,
yeah, sometimes I just forget, and then the worst part is like when you're doing another joke and you go back and you're in your head like, fuck, I forgot that part of this joke.
Yeah. So exactly. So we're improvising whether we want to or not sometimes.
You have to, because I will forget like the tag. I forget what I wrote down. I go, I will forget my actual joke that I wrote down. So I have to say something. So I improvise and then say whatever pops in my head. And sometimes it works and gets laughs. Sometimes it doesn't. But if it works, I always at least try and remember it.
Right. So like we're over. Man, we've been going for over an hour actually.
Yeah, we've been going good.
Because I try to end these keep them at an hour long, but that was, wow, I didn't know we went that far. We really improvised on this podcast.
Yes. No, we've been talking for a good minute.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously, the podcast is for anyone who's trying to start up comedy, who's doesn't know where to start, how to start, doesn't know what they want to talk about, how to talk about it, So I try to pick a topic, and I think improvising was a good topic because I'm sure there's people out there who are like, man, I'm funny. I can just go up there right now randomly and just be funny.
I'd say never do that.
Yeah, it might. You could be gifted, but you're probably not.
Have something, but at least still have something to say, even if you don't want to go into it.
Yeah,
you don't be prepared to say something.
Exactly. So improvising, it'll come with time. Like we've been talking, we do it without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So I think this is a great topic. I didn't realize how much I improvise talking to you. Like I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I improvise more than I thought.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's what we do.
So on that note, is there any tip, any advice you would give yourself back, like everything you know now? Is there anything you would tell your younger self back when you started comedy? What advice could you give yourself?
The best advice I can give myself is one I got from someone else, and it's, your best stories are your best jokes.
Best stories are your best jokes. And who'd you get that one from?
It was just some guy at the Sacramento comedy spot.
Okay.
He was like one of the regulars there.
A regular guy.
I can't remember his name.
Guy with the face.
But he gave me that advice, and then I went home that day and I spent hours writing.
Now
it's crazy like this. It'll take me at least 8-9 hours to write 4 or 5 minutes worth of fucking comedy.
It's rough sometimes.
Yes, but once I get going, it's so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. Once you get into that groove, you're just like, all right, I'm going. And you just start riffing. And
I'll write, and I'll delete, and I'll rewrite it this way, and I'll delete it and rewrite it this way.
Now, you might give the same advice, but what advice would you give to anyone who's about to start comedy, who wants to start comedy?
Just write out your jokes, know what you're going to say on stage, practice, and go have fun. It's not rocket science. It's not hard.
So be prepared.
Yes.
Do your homework. Do not be that drunk guy at the bar that's like, I can do this, and you find out you can't.
Have a drink or two, get loose, whatever you need to do. Some people's shticks are to be high. Some people to be drunk. Was it Ron White that's always drunk on stage?
I feel like, I don't know.
Bill Engvall, like this.
I'm pretty close to always being drunk on stage. I at least have one beer.
Yeah, I'm definitely never sober, but some people are like just faded, and that's their whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been gone on stage.
Like Mitch Hedberg was definitely high as shit for all this fucking specials.
Aren't all comedians high as shit though? Like those circles, those 4 or 5 joints going around.
See, I can't smoke before I go on stage.
Okay, I don't smoke. I can't smoke at all, really, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I get way too mellow. Get sleepy. So I can do a buzz. I think it's about where I'm at. I think it'll still be perfect. Any more than a buzz.
It's too much for me. A buzz is too much. I just need too much. All right. Okay. So like he says, just prepare. Write something. Yeah. Don't just randomly go up there. Prepare yourself. What you're gonna say. Do you have any closing other remarks? Do you have any shows coming up? Anything?
No. I'm just gonna be hitting mics, open mics. Just hoping just to practice and get better.
All right, man. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening on the podcast. Thanks for watching. If you're looking on YouTube, Mark Johnson. Follow him on Instagram. What's your Instagram again?
Mark Johnson LOD. Mark with a C.
Mark with a C. All right. So goodbye from me. Goodbye from Mark with a C. Later.
Later.